Education for Higher Consciousness, Chedra-based education as verified by modern science. It gives me immense pleasure in welcoming the speaker, Dr. Ashley Dean, who is here to enlighten on the very subject of talk to the august gathering comprising of erudite academicians, intellectuals of the subject. I also extend my warm welcome to Mr. James, who is a research scholar in the university, the same university. I also extend my warm welcome to Ms. Shruti Arora, President, Confederation of Education Excellence, which is first global confederation of education. I also welcome Mr. Visal, the Executive CEE. I also take this opportunity to welcome Dr. A.K. Srivastava, Chief Executive Academic and Development Tecnia, Dr. Ajay Pradap Singh, Dean and Head for Internal Quality Assurance Cells, HODs of various departments, Program Chair of various departments, Professor Bajaj, and dear students along with all supporting staff. I take this opportunity to call Ms. Nidhi Gupta, Academic Coordinator, to give a bouquet of flowers to Dr. Dean as a symbol of our pleasure and willingness in welcoming here in our campus. Dr. Nidhi. I may now request Dr. Dabra to come on the stage and give a bouquet of flowers to Mr. James, a research college in the Maharishi University. Thank you so much, Dr. Dabra. I now request Dr. Vandana Raghav to come on the stage and give a bouquet of flowers to Ms. Shruti Arora. I request Dr. Bhatia to come and give a bouquet of flowers to Mr. Vishal. Now, I may request in a most humble manner to call Dr. Srivastava on the stage.
Good morning, friends. Today we are going to discuss something on consciousness-based education. Sir is coming from a great university of the world dealing with the Vedic education and Vedic sciences, relating that education to the management education. Since I had worked with this group as a consultant director a few years back, this is a group created by Maharshi Mahesh Yogi ji. They have got ventures in India. They have got researchers on Vedic sciences. It's a huge setup worldwide in the name of Maharshi. Maharshi Mahesh Yogi ji, if I remember correctly, he was a great inspirator and the originator of how the Vedic education is related to the management science and how the conscious-based education can be developed in a very simple fashion. Normally we feel that yoga, that subject they are not dealing in the today's talk. Transitional meditation. We had heard of only yoga where we require some exercises and something, whereas Maharshi Mahesh Yogi ji has suggested that yoga and the meditation can be done in the most simple fashion. You can visit the various websites and the various talks of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who has taken lot of literature and workshops in Holland on this subject of how to reduce the stress as a normal human being just by taking out 20 minutes of your 24 hours. I will not take much of the time, sir. I welcome honorable guest to Tecnia, and I am sure that all the students and faculty members are going to learn today something which is very different what we have learned up till now in our life. Welcome, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shrivastava, for those words. Now I'm proud privileged, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce you to the brief profile of Dr. Ashley James Deans. Dr. Dean, a thorough physician, has done his PhD in space physics from Center of Research in Earth and Space Science, York University, Toronto, Canada. He is a member of Associate of the Royal College of Science. He is holding various positions in various schools and universities, and is also associated as Global Ambassador of Consciousness-Based Education, Maharishi European Research University, Netherlands. Friends, various honors and awards have been conferred to Dr. Dean, and he has also authored a book, A Record of Excellence, The Remarkable Success of Maharishi School of the Age of Enlightenment. He has traveled more than 90 countries and has delivered invited talks to the leaders of various fields on the subject of consciousness-based education. Ladies and gentlemen, I may now invite Dr. Dean to come on the dais and present his enlightening words and views on the particular subject. Dr. Dean, please.
Thank you very much, everybody. And what I'd like to do is to introduce you to the future of education in India and through India to the whole world. Because this is Ved Bhumi Bharat, this is the land of the Veda, and this is the heritage that you have to export knowledge and peace throughout the world. This is the heritage of India. And so as you were just introduced, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi revived the ancient wisdom of the Vedic tradition and made it available to everyone in the world for over 50 years. And now this system of education is being implemented in almost 100 countries around the world. So I'm going to explain to you today why consciousness-based education is the future of education. Now, is there anyone in this room at the moment who is not conscious? If you're not conscious, please put your hand up. Good. So everyone is conscious. You see, the thing is, the most fundamental part of education is to have students who are conscious, and also teachers who are conscious. Because if either the students or the teachers are not conscious, then nothing can be learned. That makes sense, right? So consciousness-based education is for developing higher states of consciousness in the students and teachers. So what does it mean, higher states of consciousness? Levels of consciousness means that if you go into a classroom, you could have some students at the back, not in this classroom I hope, who are in the sleeping state of consciousness. And if they're in the sleeping state of consciousness, they can't learn anything. You may have some students in the dreaming state of consciousness. They can't learn anything either. So you have to have students in the waking state of consciousness. But you realize there are various levels of consciousness. You can have someone who is slightly conscious, a little more conscious, very, very conscious. And if they're very conscious, it means they're more aware, they're more awake, they're more intelligent, they're more creative, they have a broader comprehension, education, and that's the quality you need to have in every single student. You see, wherever you go in the world, you'll find that schools and universities are teaching mathematics. Everywhere. They're all teaching IT. They're all teaching business. They're all teaching history, literature, philosophy, languages. They all do that. And yet, everywhere in the world that you go, people are complaining about education. So what does that tell you? It tells you it doesn't matter what system of education you're in, the British system, the American system, the Indian system, the Bengali system, doesn't matter. Because there's something missing or something lacking in every single system, all over the world. And what is lacking is development of higher states of consciousness. That's what's lacking. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is what happens when you have this very simple technology, consciousness-based education and transcendental meditation, to raise the level of consciousness of the students. What happens in education? That's what I'm going to tell you today. The punchline, if that's a word that translates, is that it develops the total creative potential of every student. This word here is very important. Every single student. The modern system of education, you have the top 10%, then you have the next 20%, then you have the bottom 50%. No more of that. Every single child born on this earth has infinite potential. And consciousness-based education unfolds that potential in every single student. And I'll show you the evidence for that. So what we're going to talk about in general is this. I'll have this overview here. Firstly, the need to decrease stress levels in education. Has anyone here ever experienced being under stress? No. Good. No, I know that's a silly question. But the point is that education today is inherently stressful, and it's very important that we decrease levels of stress because stress damages the brain. So, at the very least, education should not damage the brain. Education has to develop the brain. So we'll see why we need to decrease stress levels. We'll need to talk about optimizing the functioning of the brain. Because whatever school you go to in India, you're not going to hear people say the main focus of our educational system is to optimize the functioning of the brain. Most people say the main focus of our educational system is to teach knowledge. But you can't teach knowledge to someone who isn't using their whole brain. And then we have the benefits of stress reduction for health. Certainly here in India, stress is a huge contributor to ill health. So we'll talk about that. And then we'll talk about the benefits of stress reduction for social behavior and societal harmony. So let's talk firstly about the need to decrease stress levels. So here's education in a nutshell. You have the student, the knower, you have the process of knowing, and then you have the known. And in university and school today, in the modern age, the focus in education is on the known. So how many people here have to read books? Everybody, right? We're all reading books. You're all doing research on the internet, typing into Google information. You're gaining knowledge of what we call the known. Physics, chemistry, mathematics, business, computers, management, the knowledge of the known. And because this is the focus of education today, what you see is great progress in the field of the known. So here in India, you see tremendous progress, new airports being built, new airlines being developed, new roads being constructed, new metro being constructed, new computer systems, progress in every single area of life. Now, if you go to the society in the world today that has focused mostly on the known, where would that be? I would say it's the United States of America, where the focus is on the known. People have developed huge luxury in life. Driverless cars, cell phones, you will have cell phones, spaceships, rockets to the moon, all of that. Tremendous luxury in the life of the average American. And yet, what you find is that about 65% of Americans, adult Americans, are taking prescription drugs to balance the mind. Depression, anxiety, stress disorders, insomnia, hypertension, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. So this progress in the field of the known is not matched by progress in the field of the knower. In fact, if you count non-prescription drugs, it's about 99% of the population taking pills to try and balance the mind. So great progress in the field of the known, and very little progress in the field of the knower. And you're heading in that direction in India now. Tremendous progress in the field of the known, but more people suffering from stress and insomnia and depression and anxiety. So education has to be complete. Yes, of course, you have to develop knowledge of the known, but you also need to develop knowledge of the knower in the knower's infinite capacity. You have to develop higher states of consciousness in the knower, because driving a Mercedes with a headache is no fun. If you want to enjoy the field of the known, you have to have higher states of consciousness in the known. So this is what consciousness-based education is all about. It develops, the student develops higher states of consciousness, higher states of awareness and creativity and intelligence, and that increases the ability to develop the field of the known, but also increases the enjoyment of the field of the known. And then finally, why is this system of education inherently stressful? Well, if you've ever had to spend a day with a 6-year-old child, has anyone here ever had to spend the day with a 6-year-old child? Anyone? Yes. Why do you feel tired at the end of the day?
I am having twins almost of the same age, because they keep on asking me things.
Oh, that's it. That's it. Now, we haven't met before, have we?
Yeah.
I've never met you before. Right, I didn't pay you to say that. Because it's absolutely the correct answer. Why is it so exhausting to be with a 6-year-old? Because as this lady says, because they never stop asking questions. Why? And that's true of every 6-year-old. Every single child born on earth is born with an insatiable curiosity to know everything. That's our most fundamental desire in life. Now, if you have to spend the day with a 16-year-old, how many questions do you get from a 16-year-old? Not so many. In fact, very often you'll get a hand going up in the classroom and then they'll say, is this going to be on the exam? Do I have to know this? The point is that we have a desire to know everything, but the field of the known is so vast that it doesn't take long to realize you can't know everything. And when that lack of fulfillment of desire is there, that creates stress. Now, what I'm going to show you today is it's much, much easier to experience the field which contains total knowledge than it is to learn lots of parts of knowledge. Having total knowledge is easy. Getting all the parts of the knowledge is difficult. Let's see what I mean by that. So we can get rid of the stress by delivering the fruit of total knowledge to every student. I'll explain why. So the most effective way to reduce stress is the transcendental meditation technique. This has been proven now over 50 years of scientific study, that large analyses of the literature show, compared to anything else, transcendental meditation is the most effective way to reduce stress. Let's see why. So here's the first study on transcendental meditation done at Harvard University back in 1970, published in the journal Scientific American. This was a big surprise to Western scientists. On the y-axis, you have oxygen consumption, and on the x-axis, you have hours. So this is sleep, and this is transcendental meditation. So you see, in sleep, after 6 hours, you've had a certain level of rest. Now, if someone is asleep, are they aware of anything? No. Right? If someone's asleep and you walk in and you say, the building's on fire, they'll keep snoring. But in transcendental meditation, you have a much deeper level of rest, but the person is wide awake inside. So it's a completely new state of consciousness, a fourth state of consciousness. We call it transcendental consciousness. So in sleeping, some rest and no awareness. In transcendental consciousness, deep rest and wide awake inside. Fourth state of consciousness, transcendental consciousness. Now, if you miss a couple of nights' sleep, how do you feel? Not good, right? So we have to have regular sleeping. We know from laboratory experiments, if you keep waking someone up when they're dreaming, they don't feel good. So you have to have regular dreaming. You have to have regular waking, obviously. But if you don't have regular experience of transcendental consciousness, the brain doesn't fully develop, and the body accumulates stress. Accumulation of stress is not natural. When you have regular experience of transcendental consciousness, then the body gets deeply rested and it's able to dissolve those deeply rooted stresses. It's able to prevent stress from building up in the physiology. It also enlivens the coherence of the brain. So what physiologists are saying today is you have to have regular sleeping, you have to have regular dreaming, you have to have regular waking, and if you want a healthy, successful life, you have to have regular experience of transcendental consciousness. This is fundamental. Here's a study from Stanford University in California comparing 146 different studies that looked at different types of meditation and other techniques. Only transcendental meditation significantly found to decrease anxiety. Very important discovery, because the World Health Organization have said today that anxiety is the most serious disorder in the world today, because anxiety gives rise to so many stress-related disorders. So again, the research is very clear that it's only transcendental meditation that decreases anxiety. Teacher burnout is a huge problem. Teachers getting burnt out. What does that mean? They get tired, they get depressed. Today they're all on strike. Why? Because of stress. So this study, recently published, showed that after 4 months of transcendental meditation, teacher burnout had significantly decreased in the TN group compared to the control group. If you look at students, this is from the American Journal of Hypertension. After 4 months, highly statistically significant reductions in total distress, in anxiety, depression, anger, and hostility, and increases in the inability to cope with different situations. So suddenly you have teachers who are happy, you have students who are happy, suddenly education starts to work. This is a high-stressed situation. These are Congolese refugees who have taken refuge in Uganda, and they have what's called post-traumatic stress disorder. What you see here is before learning TM, they had a very high level of post-traumatic stress. Within 30 days, they're down to normal. After 135 days, they're still normal. This is a huge discovery, because these are the most highly stressed people in the world. Here's the control group, no change. How rapidly did this decrease happen? Here you see the experimental group, and after 10 days, highly significant reduction. After 30 days, down to normal. So it doesn't matter how stressed you are, within a month, TM will have you down to normal. Now let's look at the brain. And this is a very simple expression here. We know that stress damages the brain. So what we need is an antidote to stress. We can say the brain has two parts. You have the prefrontal cortex here. This is the thinking brain. This is the human brain here. And then here is the impulsive brain. This is the animal brain. So you have a cerebellum, but so does a cow. Right? You have a visual cortex, so does a cow. You have a motor cortex, so does a cow. What is the difference between me and a cow? Well, a cow is obviously better looking, but that's not the point. The point is that this is human. This is what we can do. This is for impulse control. This is long-term planning. You've never seen a cow packing a suitcase and planning a holiday. Right? They don't do that. They don't have that part of the brain. And then you have the ability to concentrate, emotional stability, learning ability, ethical thinking, moral reasoning. It's all here. Now imagine if education didn't develop the whole brain. What could you end up with? You could end up with humans who behave inhumanely. And that's been the tragic history of the world for thousands of years. Why? Not because human beings are inherently bad people, because education has failed to develop the whole brain. So human beings are fundamentally good people, but they can behave badly if education hasn't developed the whole brain. So we need to develop the whole brain, and here you see some functional magnetic resonance images of the brain. This is the nose, right here. This is the prefrontal cortex. Orange means increased blood flow, increased metabolic activity. So in the prefrontal cortex, it's getting enlivened, and in the stress and fear center of the brain, it's calming down. This is a huge breakthrough in the understanding of neurophysiology. We can look at this in another way by looking at the electroencephalogram, or the brain waves. What you see here, we're looking at coherence between different areas of the brain. So this is eyes open. See, the computer draws a line here if these two areas are communicating. So you see there's not much with eyes open. There's not much with eyes closed, but during transcendental meditation, the entire brain becomes coherent. This is a completely unique pattern, which is unique to transcendental meditation. Why is this important? Well, here's the prefrontal cortex right here. Notice now, the prefrontal cortex is now strengthening its connections to the animal brain. Suddenly the human being starts to be governed by the chief executive, and all of a sudden everything starts to function more smoothly. You also notice that there's communication now between the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain. Now the left side of the brain is for mathematics, the right side of the brain is for communication and arts. Now have you ever met someone who's brilliant at mathematics but not so good at communicating? Or have you ever met someone who's great at social communicating, but not very good at mathematics? What this shows is the whole brain isn't functioning. Because what you see here is that The student who is good at mathematics will also be good at social skills. This is holistic development of the individual. So the main point here then is it's only the experience of transcendental consciousness that enlivens total brain function. So I can't emphasize this enough. You may go home today, talk to your parents, your brother, your sister, your husband, your wife, and say, I heard this lecture on transcendental meditation. I think it'd be good for you because it'll help you to relax. And they say, I don't need transcendental meditation to relax. I come home, sit on the sofa, turn on the cricket, I'm relaxed. Well, it's true. Watching cricket does relax some people. However, sitting on the sofa watching cricket does not develop the whole brain. That is the difference. It's only the experience of transcendental consciousness that enlivens total brain functioning, and this is what's missing from education. You come to school, you study computers, business, mathematics, language, arts, all day long. Then maybe you have homework. Then on the weekend you have a tutor. You're doing all these things to become well educated, except you're missing something. You're missing the experience of transcendental consciousness. So you'll never be fully educated without regular experience of transcendental consciousness because your whole brain won't be developed. So how does this fit in with our understanding of nature, with modern science? Well, let's take physics. Who loves physics? Nobody. All right, doesn't matter. I don't mind. I'm going to talk about physics for a minute, so try and stay awake for a minute. The thing is, physics is the science that tries to find out how nature works. It's completely objective, meaning, if you say to a physicist, I believe that the moon is made of cheese, they'll say, prove it. And if you can prove the moon is made of cheese, they'll accept it. Of course, if you go to the moon, you'll find it's made of rock. It's not made of cheese. So they want proof. So they've investigated nature for 500 years now. And what they found is nature is found in layers of existence. Beneath the surface, there's a layer of molecules. Beneath the molecules, there's a layer of atoms. Beneath the atoms, there's a layer of nuclei. Beneath the nuclei, there's a layer of quarks and gluons. And the quarks and gluons are expressions of unbounded quantum fields. So in physics today, we understand that the matter that we look at is an illusion. What we're really looking at are the fluctuations of unbounded quantum fields. And beyond that, what physics has found is these quantum fields, like electromagnetism, etc., become more unified at even finer levels. And today, the cutting edge of modern physics is unified quantum field theory. What does this mean? It means that physics today tells us that ultimately in the universe there's one single field, the unified field. It vibrates within itself and then creates electromagnetism, gravity, nuclear physics, etc., and all the particles of nature. Everything comes from one single field. You could say that all the knowledge of the whole universe is contained in this one single field. Now, if I was able to grant you a wish, if I had that power, I could say to you, I can allow you to have anything you want. What would be the wise thing to wish for? Do you want to know the number of the winning lottery ticket next weekend? You want to know who's going to win the Cricket World Cup? Those are not wise choices. The wise thing to say is, I want to know the unified field. It's just one thing, but it contains within it the total knowledge of the whole universe. Now, nobody put their hand up when I said, who likes physics? if you had to study physics for 20 years to understand the unified field, it would be very depressing in life. But fortunately, you don't, because physics is completely objective. It looks outside of yourself, right? You're studying atoms, you're studying molecules, you're studying nuclei. But there's also a subjective side to life. So what we do in transcendental meditation is we start on the surface level of the mind. This is the thinking level. We experience a thought at finer levels in the development of the thought, transcend the subtlest impulse of thought, and experience that field of pure consciousness at the source of thought. This is an effortless process. The huge misconception of meditation in the world today is that meditation involves concentration or contemplation. That meditation is difficult. The truth is, meditation is the easiest thing you will ever do in your life. Transcending happens due to the nature of the mind to always want to experience fields of greater knowledge and field of greater bliss. So, let's suppose you wanted to have total knowledge. Well, what could you do? You could go to the library and say, I'm going to read every single book in the library. How would you feel? Terrible, right? You go in the library, there's 1 million books, and you just get depressed. You can't read them all. But where do those books come from? Every book came from an author. The author was writing down their thoughts. Every book in the library originated as human thought. So here we're experiencing the source of thought, the source of every book, the source of all knowledge, deep within ourselves. So you see here that this is the source of thought, this is the source of all knowledge, and you can experience that inside yourself in this field of pure consciousness. This is also the source of all knowledge, which has been glimpsed by modern physics. They're the same. Everything you see is actually consciousness. Doesn't look like consciousness. This chair doesn't look like consciousness. I don't look like consciousness. But ultimately, at its most fundamental level, the source of all knowledge in the universe is consciousness. And you can experience that within a few seconds after learning transcendental meditation. This is the birthright of every individual. So here's an expression from the Mundaka Upanishad. Know that, by knowing which, everything is known. This is ancient knowledge. Right? This is the field of all knowledge. This is the field from which everything is known. This is what the ancients said, know that, by which, knowing which, everything is known. This is the field of pure consciousness they're talking about. Here's another. Total knowledge is gained in short time. This takes a few seconds. Learning all of this takes years and years and years. You'll never finish. You could have 1 million lifetimes and still not know all of this. In a few seconds, you can gain the experience of the field of total knowledge. Here's another one. Established in yoga, perform action, from the Bhagavad Gita. See, what does that mean? It means that when you have this experience, your whole brain gets enlivened, and then that's the time to perform action with a fully enlivened brain. So what happens? Well, this is a study from China, looking at students who learn transcendental meditation, and this is looking at holistic improvement in intellectual performance. And you see in all of these areas, creativity, in practical intelligence, in field independence, in mental efficiency, abstract intelligence, they'd all increased after 6 months compared to the control group that were doing some other form of meditation. And this is the power of transcending. And this is what you need to develop for success in life. Because I know a lot of you are learning about computers and all of that. Now imagine, if I asked you, what was the first thing you learned in IT class? And you would say, how to use a keyboard, right? That was the first thing you learned. In 10 years' time, there won't be any keyboards. It'll all be voice recognition, thought recognition, all the things we're teaching the children in school today. Keyboard use, be completely obsolete. So it's not that knowledge that you need. What you need is a brain that is highly creative, highly intelligent, able to process new information, to invent things. This is what you need in life. This is a school in San Francisco. This is in the San Francisco School District. These were students who were selected because they are not good at mathematics, randomly assigned to either transcendental meditation or control group. After 4 months, huge increase in mathematical ability in the group that were doing TM. That's amazing. Would you like to be good at mathematics? Yes. How can you do it? Develop the coherence of the brain. Don't have to study more mathematics. With a coherent brain, you'll understand the mathematics much more easily. Same thing with English achievement, or if you like, language arts, exactly the same result. This is Maharishi University of Management in Fairfield, Iowa, USA, where all the students practice transcendental meditation. It's built according to the ancient principles of Vastu Vidya. All the entrances are to the east. Students from all over the world, we have one of the top 10 computer professional programs in the world. And students come for very, very low tuition. We train them for 8 months, and then we get them jobs in Silicon Valley, Microsoft, Apple, PayPal, Facebook, Google, and we have a 99% success rate in placing our students because they're not only good at computers, but they're also integrated individuals. So they meditate as part of their computer training, and then here's a student from India. He says the transcendental meditation technique helps keep my mind and body fresh, so I can focus for many hours without feeling stress. And then here's some of our students now working for Microsoft. So it's a fantastic program that allows the students to develop higher states of consciousness and also to make an awful lot of money, because these students starting salary at Microsoft is about $80,000 a year. This is at Maharishi School. And I won't go into it in great detail, but basically, these students, because they practice transcendental meditation, are the most creative students you've ever met. In these international problem-solving competitions, like Destination Imagination, our students have won the world championships more often than any school in the world. And people are always asking me, where do you keep finding these creative students? And the answer is, I don't. I don't go out and find creative students. We take any student, but we teach them how to experience that field of infinite creativity within themselves. Just like diving into a swimming pool. You dive into the pool, you come out wet. You transcend to that field of infinite creativity, you come out creative. And now let's look at the benefits for health. We know that stress is linked to all these diseases that you do not want to get. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to realize that if we decrease stress, we decrease disease. Here, for example, is a study from Canada. This is 1,400 people. This is the control group showing increased medical costs over 14 years, because as you get older, you'll start to get sick more. This is the experimental group, and after they learn transcendental meditation, you see their medical costs go down by 55%. This is preventative medicine, because when your body is better rested and dissolving stress, you'll get sick less. This is with heart attack patients. Heart attack, stroke, and death was 66% lower in the TM group than in the control group. This is modern medicine. This is the future of medicine. And then let's look at stress reduction for social behavior. This is a school in Connecticut. They had a high dropout rate, students dropping out of school, introduced transcendental meditation. It went down from 20% to 5% in 1 year. This is students getting suspended from school for bad behavior. In this school, 79% reduction over 3 years, compared in blue to the other schools in the district. So this is now solving the problem of bullying, or what do you call it, ragging. All of these problems just start to go away. Reductions in school violence. And so now all over the world, students are practicing transcendental meditation in school and university. This is in San Francisco. This is in Washington, D.C. This is in the Middle East. This is again in the Middle East. Again, this is in Palestine. This is in Portugal, where the European Union have now given more than €1 million to introduce transcendental meditation into schools. Also in Holland, Italy, Great Britain, Belgium, Sweden. This is Italy. This is in Bali, where the governor of Bali has said he's going to introduce transcendental meditation into every school. This is in Cambodia. This is in Thailand. These are Buddhists, but they're now doing transcendental meditation, because TM is not a religion, it's a technique, so any religion can do it. This is in Nepal. This is in India. This is Mongolia, South Africa, Ghana, Kenya, Uganda. These are Maasai having a group meditation, doing transcendental meditation. This is Brazil, where the government now pays for transcendental meditation. This is Guatemala. This is Colombia, Chile, Peru, Mexico. This is the Aztec tribes in southern Mexico. 463 schools in just one area of Mexico alone. This is the military in Ecuador, a lot of military now beginning the program. This is in Britain, where the government fully pays for this consciousness-based school, Maharishi School in Liverpool. And this is what happens. Not only does the stress in the individual go down, but the stress in the society goes down. So this is a study we published in the Journal of Psychology, Crime and Law. You see the crime in Liverpool, up in the summer, down in the winter, up in the summer, down in the winter, just like this, very regular. This is where the school started. And when the group in the school exceeded the square root of 1% of the population, the crime just plummeted and then continued a downward trend. So this is the message I want to leave you with, is you can certainly decrease your own stress with transcendental meditation. But when it's done in groups with the Advanced TM City program from the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, you get that Kavach effect. So you only need the square root of 1% of the population meditating in groups to have an effect on the whole society. Let's look. Here's the big group in the United States. This group was formed in 2006. By 2007, it had achieved the square root of 1% of the United States population. So a very rapid rise in the size, and then it started to fall away again, and I'll show you what happened. But let's look what happened when the group was formed. This is violent crime rate in 206 US cities. Up in the summer, down in the winter. Up in the summer, down in the winter. This is when the coherence creating group doing the Yoga Sutras, the yogic flying, formed here. and then you see it takes on a completely different trend, up in the summer, down in the winter, but now declining. The same thing with infant mortality, exactly the same trend. Now, what happened? Here's the group forming, here's the experimental period. Then notice the group numbers went down because the funding was not available. And then here, the group numbers went down to what they were before. What happened? Here's the murder rate in the United States, going up by 2% here, decreasing by 20% here during the period where the group was high. Numbers remained high for a while, and then now 18% increase. In America, people can't understand what's happening. There was this period where everyone was thrilled that the crime was going down. Nobody knew why. Now they're very sad that the crime is going up. Nobody knows why. You know why. Because there was a coherence-creating group in the country. Now, the square root of 1% of India's population is 3,500. So that's why we're starting programs in schools and universities. So you come to school or university every day anyway. So here's the group. And I would estimate there's probably, 200 people here today? So 200 would take care of 4 million people. If you just did these programs once in the morning, once in the afternoon, as part of your regular curriculum, in addition to your other studies, you would create coherence in a group of 4 million people. If we had several schools, totaling 3,500, then it would affect the whole of India. So you have this rapid progress, which you're having now, without the harmful side effects of increased pollution, increased crime, all of these other problems. So the bottom line is, schools in India should all offer transcendental meditation and the advanced TM City program to maintain coherence in national consciousness. That's my message to you today. This is your tradition. This is the tradition of Ved Bhumi Bharat. India should be radiating peace to the whole world. This is your Dharma. So we have Mr. James Dodgson here today, and he can supervise the program. And here's my name and contact information at vijayabhav.com, Center for Excellence in Education. And it's up to you now. The knowledge is available. You can have it, or you can't have it. It's entirely your choice. But I think you'll be very happy if you take it. So thank you. I'm very happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mani. It says that let the knowledge of learning and light should come from all directions to me. With this, I thank you, Dr. Lee. You definitely enlightened us. You gave something which is there in my culture, which I am not aware of. Thank you so much for putting the light on that particular transcendental meditation. Now I request Mr. James to come up the stage and share his views. Thank you. Mr. James.
I'm going to be very brief. I'd like to thank Dr. Ashley Deans for giving you a great lecture on how we can reduce stress in the body and how we can improve the brain and become more intelligent. Every single one of you should be thinking now, what if I was more intelligent? What if I was less stressed? How would my life improve? We've seen from Dr. Ashley's slides that students get between 35 and 20% more in their exams and their results in mathematics or their English papers. And that's without doing any extra schoolwork. It's just by closing the eyes and practicing this transcendental meditation. This technique is from India. This is in the DNA. This is the Indian knowledge. And you've seen in Dr. Ashley's slides that schools all over the world are doing this. And they're doing it because they see the results. This is a practical technique, but it's a simple and effortless technique. Simple and effortless. It means every single person here can do this. It's a traditional technique. It comes from a tradition of India, the Vedic tradition. It was introduced by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi to the West and to India, but it's very much embraced by the West now. In the United States, there is one educational institution. It is called Norwich Military Academy. It is the oldest and most prestigious military academy. 60% of US Army officers are trained at this academy. 5 years ago, they started with this transcendental meditation program. They are very conservative, very, very conservative institution. So they tried it with one platoon, and they had a lot of other platoons as a control. That one platoon that started this program outperformed those other platoons within 2 weeks of doing this so much that the other platoons started complaining that they didn't have an advantage. So now that institution, Norwich Military University, the oldest institution in the military tradition of USA, is the whole university, the staff, the students, and the faculty are doing this twice a day, 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening. If they can do it, and it's not even their tradition, then you can definitely do this. This is something that's for India. Indians have to have this knowledge. You need that advantage. The same way that platoon had that advantage, you need that advantage. There are 1.3 billion people in India. Huge competition for everything. For jobs, for success, for a good life. If you're 20% more smarter, you have that advantage. More creativity, the ability to use your mind in more abstract ways, more creative ways. So take this opportunity to think about doing this in your institution, doing it for yourself. Number one, you've got to do it for yourself. So we have a foundation in India. We're doing this now all over Delhi. We're doing it all over India. Many teachers are being trained so that many students can learn this technique. Very simple, but very, very powerful and effective. So definitely think about taking the opportunity to learn for yourself first, and then we can go and progress to all of the students in the schools, and we can see this very, very rapid success in the schools and in your students. It doesn't take long, as you saw from Dr. Ashley's slides, 30 days, and we've already seen a great transformation. So thank you for your time, and I wish you great success.
Shruti Arora to come on the stage and share a few words why everyone we have been gathered here. Please.
Good afternoon to all of you. Thanks a lot for all the MBA student I guess who are present over here and paying that kind of attention. I'm surprised, and a special thanks to Professor A.K. Srivastava. I haven't seen an MBA student being so silent ever. So thanks for leaving that message that Tecnia students are the most decent student. Anybody could come in and can attend, because no doubt there was no hooting, there was nothing that sort of it, and you were a very patient audience altogether. See, why we came here, that was a surprise for you, that an MBA student talking about meditation, what is it going to help us? Are they coming to give us a job? Are they coming to give us an internship? Are they going to ever help us in making my career ahead? If they are not helping me in that way, then I am not interested. Isn't it? Say yes or no. Yes? Yeah, because we are pretty serious. We are sitting in a competition where we know that for one job, there are close to about 100 students who are stand, and more than that. So am I going to be one of them? Are they talking about that, okay, there may be 100,000 students who are placed in Microsoft, Google, Apple, how does it make a difference to my life? Are they picking any one of us? Have they come here to pick us for that job? If they say yes, then I will start meditating right now. Isn't it? So we always say yes, in case they say that, okay, I'm going to give you a job immediately. But that's a true fact. It's a true fact. I don't know how many of you are being aware of it, that the Honorable Prime Minister of India, he is practicing transcendental meditation. him no. Because he was clear on one part, there is a lot of distractions which is not letting him grow, and he started that way. And now you take an example across the globe, go on to Google, go and visit to the website, search out on YouTube, search out everything. What is that in meditation helping us? We are Indian, we are always educated from day one. See, we are a student who say that the day I was being born, I was educated. I don't need education. We just need degrees in our hands so that we can get the job. Otherwise, we are more qualified than our teachers. We are more qualified than our professors. That's the myth we carry in our mind. And that is not wrong with this batch per se. We were like that. I was like that. I used to always think about it. My teacher doesn't know anything. I know everything. But later on, we realized that that was just a mistake because we live in illusions. Now, the concentration or the relaxation of mind gives us an idea that whether we are on the right track. We are not here to educate you how the meditation to be done. We are here to leave a project for you, a message for you that you as an Indian have this kind of knowledge and others are using it and are getting benefited. Can we get benefited? So try it out in case you feel like that yes, this is something which is going to build my career ahead and it will be helpful for me to crack any interview. Then please start practicing. It is not that difficult. You sit and relax for 20 minutes and you will be done. Once you have that habit, then think about it. Do I need a professional trainers to come and help me up? Other than that, I'm just leaving a message for you. There is a lot of programs which is available in this university as well. Short-term programs which are available, which is absolutely on the scholarship basis. But that is only for the selective student. Now they are going to check that whose mind is so sharp that they can pick up. We have got a project from this university whereby across India we are about to select about 25 students who would be 100% on scholarship and they would undergo through a post-graduation program for 9 months where the job is guaranteed and they would pay the fees once they get the job. Otherwise there is no payout of the fees. Now if my student, if this young generation is really interested to make their career ahead, please start polishing your skills. We would definitely love to come back again in this institution to pick up a couple of students from you. So till then, thank you so much for being that nice student. We have been happy that you have listened it very well, and all the best for your life. Thank you so much. Dr. Ashley is available on this website. So if you have any questions, you wanted to connect to Dr. Ashley or to Mr. James, or you wanted more information about the university itself, he will be readily available to answer. So go on to the website, make your own link available, and just connect with him. He will be accepting the connections and will be answering all your questions. Keep posting whatever you have done at your projects, so that any project which is valuable, he can pick it up and he might would get in touch with you over the emails. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Shruti. My humble prostration to Master Swati. With this, I now request Dr. Ajay Pratap to come on the stage and give vote of thanks to all.
There is one slok in Veda, very important slok, which is very much contemporary, based on today's deliberation. Sam dosa samadnishchit, sam dhatu mal kriya, prasanna atma indri mana, swasth kriya vidhete. What is health? We focus on the first line as far as the health is concerned. Sam dosa samadnishchit, sam dhatu mal kriya. One is in a perfect state of health if he or she is having all the dosas, the digestive systems, the tissues, the components, the excretory systems are in a balanced state. We always keep on focusing on our physical part. But the next line is very important. Prasanna Atma Indri Mana. One who has a pleasure in terms of mind, spirit and soul. Soul, that means consciousness. Chetnanuvriti means continuity of life. So the Chetna, the consciousness, has been related with the continuity of life. So if we are really wishing that we should not be under distress, that is the negative stress, then definitely we have to think about the consciousness, and definitely the transcendental meditation is one of the answer for our converting distress into eustress. Thank you very much. I extend my sincere thanks on behalf of Tecnia to Dr. Dean for enlightening us on the subject. The subject is really very complex. The manner in which he has put the things made it very easy to understand for all of us. I also extend my thanks to Mr. James for his sharing of wisdom. I also extend my thanks to Ms. Shruti Arora for sharing her experiences. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for patience, presence here. Thank you all my dear students. And I may request all the students to be seated unless until the guest is moving out. Thank you so much my dear students. Thank you all.
Good afternoon. Today we are in Tecnia Institute of Advanced Studies. Here a seminar on career counseling was going on. Today we are having convener of this event, Dr. Nivedita. Let's have a word with her. Ma'am, what was the agenda and aim of this seminar?
The aim of the seminar was to have a discussion on a topic which is very relevant and required. The topic was higher education through higher consciousness, Chetna-based education as has been proved by modern science. So this was the aim of this today's seminar, and the agenda was to make students aware the importance of the translational meditation in terms of learning and retaining various things which they do in day-to-day learning.
Ma'am, you have mentioned word Chetna. What is the meaning of word Chetna?
Chetna is consciousness. Consciousness is something when you are sleeping, still you know that you are sleeping. This is because there is something which makes you understand even when you are sleeping that you are sleeping. This is known as consciousness.
Ma'am, how this seminar will help our students?
The seminar will help the student in terms of understanding the ability to understand the functioning of the brain and to devise the technique to improve the efficiency of brain in terms of learning and retaining the things which they learn.
Sir, what is the agenda and aim of this seminar?
To introduce the students and faculty to consciousness-based education, which involves practicing transcendental meditation to unfold the total creative potential of every student.
Sir, what were your expectations from this seminar? Have the students fulfilled it?
Yes, there's a very enthusiastic response, but they'll fulfill the expectations once they learn and they practice it in a group at school as part of the curriculum, and then they'll create that positive influence for themselves and also for the whole of India.
Thank you, sir, for your precious time.
Thank you.
I, Kriti Baveja, with camera person Manoj Kumar, Tecnia TV, Delhi.